Welcome back to Wilkow. Did you see this headline today from Politico? And I quote, "Election aftermath. GOP soul searching. Too old, too white, too male." Here's what conservatism stands for: life, liberty, the pursuit of happiness, limited government, the Constitution, and respect for private property. Last time I checked, you can't color code those values. Like good guy, Mike Huckabee seems to think.
Republicans have done a pathetic job of reaching out to people of color, something we've got to work on. And it's a group of people that, frankly, should be with us based on the real policy of conservatism. But Republicans have acted as if they can't get the vote, so they don't try. And the result is they don't get the vote.
Well, the last thing Republicans need to do is to start pandering to minorities to get their vote. We can leave that to the liberals since they do it so well and do it so often. I want to bring in Ken Blackwell, the former Secretary of State in Ohio, and Ernest Istook, former U.S. Representative from Oklahoma, who's now a distinguished fellow at the Heritage Foundation. Guys, thanks for joining me.
You bet.
It's good to be with you.
Ken, you and I talk about this all the time. These basic tenets of conservatism about life, liberty, pursuit of happiness, respect for private property, the civil society, the Constitution, cannot be color-coded. And let me go one step further. The media will never give. If I were to try to do the things that Joe Biden does on a stage, I would never get the free pass for it. The only way to begin to do what some conservatives are saying needs to be done would be to descend into either pandering or stereotyping.
Well, Andrew, I disagree with you. I've worked with Mike Huckabee as I worked with Jack Kemp, and Kemp never tried to downgrade the American dream or color code it. But he, in fact, said it was worthwhile to make the case as to why conservatism and constitutionalism works for all people. And so he took a message of economic growth, job creation, and the expansion and opportunity, and he did it in a very convincing way. He made the case. I think that's all Mike is saying. I traveled through Missouri with Mike. I've been in the barrios and ghettos with Mike over the years. I think that's what Mike was saying. He wasn't saying that we had to water down our message, that we had to reform conservatism, but he was saying that we had to go forth and make the case, as
well.
Jack
Is it
Kemp
showing
did,
up?
and as Ronald Reagan did.
Is it showing up? Is it just showing up? I mean, it's one thing to say that conservatives have made the mistake of not speaking to certain civic groups or churches or setting up a speaking engagement in certain neighborhoods and saying,
that's what Mike. That's what he is saying. Look, at the end of the day, what we can explain to people is that unless you grow the pie and get away from redistribution strategies, you're always going to find that minorities are going to get the short end of the stick. It is only when we have an expanding pie that we can create the opportunity for upward mobility for all people.
Ernest, there's a huge difference between showing up. That I agree with. Ken and I talk about this stuff all the time. Showing up is one thing, but changing the message. Whenever I hear people say, well, the GOP is loath to accept the changing demographics, but what can be done? If you're a white dude like me and you try to change things to make it fit another audience, you're going to get beaten to death for pandering or creating a new accent or new delivery style. I will never get away with it. You will never get away with it, speaking the way Joe Biden does.
Here's the problem. Too often, Republicans speak only in terms of taxes, and since about half the country no longer pays federal income tax, they say, why are you talking about something that doesn't have anything to do with me? What we have to show is that people have a vested personal interest in smaller and limited government. It's not just, rich people who end up paying the bills. If you look at what is happening today, the federal government is clobbering the family budget, the one that we assemble around the kitchen table. Whether you're talking about electric utility bills, whether you're talking about price of gasoline, the price of a car, the cost of health care, the cost of health care insurance, or in fact, the federal quota system that actually started the entire financial meltdown came from a congressional dictate that went to the Federal Housing Administration. We have got to show people that they have a personal interest in the size of government because it is making things unaffordable for them. It is making parents take extra jobs, work longer, disrupting family life, keep them from spending time with their kids, making the cost of everything that you do for the kids more expensive. We don't explain that to people. We pretend as though the only issue is the amount of taxes. That's far from the issue. The kitchen table agenda, which I've been working on for some time, is important because it appeals to people of all races, of all colors. It has to do with their aspirations to live the American dream without government coming in and making it impossible.